In the news tonight, Lao villagers change mindset about vaccine. No severe illness among fully vaccinated. And do not let your guard down, Rio villagers told.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Atera Lendua.
Good evening, Fiji. The Health Ministry has noted a change in response from over 9,000 Fijians in the Lao group who are now welcoming the vaccination campaign. Minister Dr. Firemi Wanganabete says over 60% of the targeted population on islands in the northern part of the group have been vaccinated, and more are expected to receive their first dose next week, or this week rather. Josai Nanunga has more.
The current enthusiasm from the people of Lao is in contrast with the initial hesitancy towards the jab, as the urgency to get the dose to the eligible population cannot be underestimated.
Also, the good words that were being said across by people from Lao and Sawa who were living in Bukilevu and Mamawiti to their families have helped with the program. There's still a few islands left.
And those islands are Watoa, Ongea, Namukelau, Matuku and Totoya, which will be targeted this week.
They were so keen to get vaccinated that they actually are here to took a fiberglass protest that across and got the vaccines. So it does go to show to some extent is a desire of our people to get vaccinated.
Rawalu Totoya village headman Semesa Lesi says villagers are highly anticipating their first dose.
We are hoping that our team of health officials will be arriving home soon to carry out this vaccination program. We want to protect our families and help the nation move forward.
Vaccination teams will be visiting other islands in the Lao, Lomaiviti and Mamanudu group after completing various COVID-19 screenings to avoid the risk of the virus from entering any island. Josai Nanunga, FBC News.
Fully vaccinated people are not 100% protected from contracting coronavirus, but they are protected from getting severe illness and untimely death. Researchers in England have found that 2 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine protects people more against the fast-spreading Delta strain found in most countries. Christiana Oluwai reports.
People can still get infected after being vaccinated, but data from the outbreak that started in April showed that no fully vaccinated Fijian has died.
We've had a few of our healthcare workers who have been fully vaccinated that have had some sickness with COVID-19, but they were not very sick, just some slight symptoms.
Because of the high transmissibility of the Delta variant, vaccinated people can possibly pass the virus to others, which is why emphasis has always been on getting vaccinated.
The fact that vaccinated people who do have a breakthrough infection are clearly capable of transmitting the infection to an uninfected person.
Vaccine efficacy have been a widely debated topic during this outbreak. However, both of these medical experts are advising people to take the vaccine as it prevents people from dying. Christiana Uluwai, FBC News.
No confirmed case of COVID-19 in parts of the Rewa province for the past few weeks will not mean letting their guards down by the Wunisei villagers. Village headman Leone Nikotima says some villagers have started to go back to their normal life despite repeated warnings that the virus is still in our midst. Josai Nanunga reports.
These villagers of Wunisei in Rewa have been warned that they are still not out of the woods.
The virus is still around. Now some villagers are engaging themselves in activities that is against the COVID safe protocols. Now all I can say, I have done my part. If they are caught by the police, then it's their problem.
Nicotimo says life can go back to normal at the community level if people take heed of preventative measures, one of which is to get vaccinated.
I have been urging the villagers to get vaccinated, especially the elderly. A majority of villagers have received their first dose. However, some villagers refuse to get both jabs.
I urge people in the Itoke community to be vaccinated. I understand some people are exercising their right not to receive the jab, but at the end of the day, it's for our benefit.
Both the community leaders says we must learn from other countries that witnessed a decline in the number of cases, but there was a resurgence a few weeks later. Jose Nanunga, FBC News.
The Prime Minister has been briefed on the recent developments of the COVID-19 outbreak by the Health Ministry. The brief will guide the Prime Minister and the government in formulating policies of Fiji's next course of action. The Health Ministry states the new infections dropped again mainly in the Central Division yesterday. The brief stated that once the number of fully vaccinated people goes over 50%, there will be a significant drop in cases. The ministry also noted the number of people attending the screening clinics has decreased and has hypothesized that the cases in the Central Division are dropping slowly. 60 COVID patients are on oxygen, 10 on Airvo high flow, and 5 on ventilators. Fiji's case fatality sits at around 0.8%. And to our latest COVID-19 update for today, Fiji recorded 682 new COVID-19 infections for the period ending at 8 a.m. yesterday. 489 cases are from the Central Division and 193 are from the West. The Health Ministry also recorded 6 new COVID-19 deaths between August 5th and 6th. 3 deaths were in the Central Division and 3 in the West. Fiji has recorded 36,252 cases since April this year. There are now 24,070 active cases in isolation, with 11,798 recoveries in total. The COVID-19 death toll now stands at 296. The vaccination campaign also continues around the country. As of yesterday, 535 or 87.5% of the population have received their first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine. 180,722 or 30.8% have received their second dose. The 5 most vaccinated areas include Rewa, Ba, Nadronga and Naitasiri, which are now 100% first jabbed. Next is Nadi. Rewa now also takes the lead as the most first and second jabbed province. Priyesh Sumit Prasad of Toko Tavua, who is an employee of Watukola Gold Mines, is now fully vaccinated. Prasad's message for everyone is to get vaccinated to keep your family and yourself safe. Up ahead, hoteliers ready to welcome tourists. And woman turns entrepreneur after retirement. Welcome back. At least 80% of operators under the Fiji Hotel Tourism Association are ready to welcome international guests if borders reopen by December. This follows a thorough inspection conducted to ensure that stakeholders are open under the COVID-19 safe protocols. Philip Naikaso has more.
The target is for all tourism operators to open. However, they will need to pass a certain criteria first.
So ideally, you need to have started the process in writing, and then there's some actual physical inspections that happen. There's some physical training requirements that have to be put into place. And once they come on board and open up, they can actually move to that second phase and then get the confirmed compliance.
Stakeholders are also glad that there's a time frame they're able to work towards. The pandemic has crippled the tourism industry, and it's more than a year since the majority of the operators shut their doors.
We will very much pick up learning from around the world and make sure that we're understanding what the best practice is around the world, and then make sure that what happens on the ground is a really fantastic Fijian experience and a safe one.
The restart will definitely not be easy for many.
Remember that they're coming from absolutely no revenue, a lot of them, so they want to be able to bring their staff back. They've got to be able to pay for wages and salaries.
There are more than 200 members under the Fiji Hotel Tourism Association, and if things go according to plan, thousands of jobs will be restored. Philippe Naikaso, FBC News.
Employers are being reminded that they need to maintain 50% capacity in terms of staffing at all times. Many companies and businesses are opening up slowly as more Fijians are getting vaccinated, but they need to follow all COVID-safe protocols. Statutory bodies say the current protocols is the best option for Fiji in the long run. Cristiano Oluwai reports.
Maintaining all safety precautions will ensure that staff as well as the public are safe.
But there are certain COVID safety protocols and measures that they need to put in place. Everybody needs to be aware and cognizant of the fact that these safety measures has been put in there to safeguard all Fijians.
Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation says Fiji needs to get used to a momentum that will allow it to withstand an economic shock similar to COVID-19.
Was to future-proof Fiji against future pandemics.
Permanent Secretary for Health Dr. James Fong has earlier stated that a pattern that sustains good COVID-safe behavior must continue as long as Fiji has the virus. Christiana Uluwai, FBC News.
The police force has recorded a 13% reduction in the overall crime rate for the first 7 months of this year. However, police say failure to comply with orders pertaining to COVID-19 safe measures continue to be an issue. Commissioner of Police Brigadier General Sitiveni Gilio says there is room for improvement and these numbers can be reduced further. Gilio commended the efforts of all stakeholders as the reduction in crime was an achievement made possible through increased collaboration. He adds the institutional focus on implementing tough, smart and friendly policing strategies is a concept aimed at tackling crime under the current situation, which has presented its own set of unique challenges.
We should see significant changes in that, in dealing with that unnecessary movement. There will be a lot more questions asked at checkpoints, turning people back, those that are unnecessarily moving about. We understand that if people need to go to a barber shop to cut their hair, yes, we'll allow them to go there, but you can't go to a barber shop in Nambua, then you spend 3 hours moving around in Suva. Those are the type of things that we're looking at being tougher in our enforcement.
The University of the South Pacific has formally announced the reappointment of Professor Paul Ahluwalia as its Vice-Chancellor and President. In a statement, USB says Professor Ahluwalia will resume tomorrow for a 3-year term and will be based at the USB Samoa campus. Professor Ahluwalia was reselected to this position by the USB Council. USB says the council had agreed to offer Professor Ahluwalia a new contract following its meeting on June 2nd. Find or learn a new skill set if the one you have is not producing the expected results. These are the sentiments shared by entrepreneur Api Kurusinga, who has seen her business grow even during this pandemic since her retirement last year. Lena Reese with tonight's success story.
Growing up in the village and then moving to Suva to live with her brother and continue her education, Api Kurusinga says she has always been determined to make something of herself.
Life can still be good even if you're not home. Because sometimes when you see people leave their home to come and stay with a relative, it's a little difficult for them to adapt. And the end result is failure. I made up my mind that I'm going to make this, I'm going to make it in school, I'm going to go to tertiary, I'm going to make it there, and the day I finish school on a Friday, I found work on a Monday.
After a short stint at the University of the South Pacific, Kurusinga began work at the Australian High Commission in 1978 before moving to Canada. But for her, home is where the heart belonged.
I thought that it's time for me to go back home and nurse my business and give it time to grow, because I can't be working and doing this. Yeah, and I think when you are not working and when you are home, there's a lot of things that open up. And when you are working, there's so many things that stop you from committing to something else outside of work.
The mother of 4 says her family has been her greatest support.
Create a business while you're still working. If you feel that you're 50 and you're going to work up until 55, start something at 50. Build that network. Start something small. and just keep small baby steps, learning as you go along.
The 63-year-old is encouraging those looking to start their business to explore their skills or learn a new skill set, as this is what has helped her grow her business and is now in demand as Fiji fights COVID-19. Lena Rees, FBC News.
Ahead in sports, Wakurambili shares emotional moment. And competitions to resume when citizens fully vaccinated. Welcome back. Standing in a semi-empty Tokyo stadium singing the national anthem arose different emotions, shared Olympic gold medalist Joshua Wakurambili. Describing his experience in an interview with FBC Sports, the 27-year-old says he only wished his pillar of strength, his late father, was there to witness his success on the world stage. Vinina Rakautonga reports.
Fulfilling his father's dream is what kept Wakurambili push beyond his limits.
My father has been my motivator and biggest supporter. When he passed last year, that motivated me to always try my best and do what he would have wanted me to do. Now that I have reached the Olympic stage, it was too touching for me knowing my dad was not there to witness this important moment in my life.
The Vatukarasa Nandronga native dropped out of school at the age of 15, worked in the farm for a few years before joining the Fiji Corrections Service, where he began playing sevens rugby.
I was only used to playing 15s back in the village, so playing sevens was kind of new. But after joining the Corrections Service, we would occasionally play sevens, and I guess that's where my sevens dream started.
Fellow teammate Asaeli Tuivuaka, who also was in tears during the triumphant evening, says he was reminded of all the sacrifices his family has made to date.
The moment I was on that beach, I looked back to our struggles, how I wanted to give back to my family and to my mother, who has been my source of strength and motivation, and it made me emotional but strong, knowing I needed to do this for her.
The sevens team is currently in quarantine and will be cleared at the end of the week. Venina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
Return to play protocols have been mapped out by the governing sporting bodies, and they are now waiting for the approval from the Ministry of Health. Fiji Sports Commission Chair Peter Mazie says although cases continue to soar and the chances of returning to some form of normalcy cannot be determined, they have made the necessary preparations for the future. Vinila Kautonga reports.
The two teams.
All spectators, players and officials will need to be fully vaccinated before entering the game's venue.
The Ministry of Youth and Sports, with the Sports Council and the Sports Commission, have been putting together new protocols, and they are very much ready to go, but we're just waiting for Ministry of Health input there.
A factor that will need to be looked at as individuals 18 years and below. However, Mazie says the decision will be dependent on the ministry's protocols.
Sports is also very much for those younger people under the age of 18, which is the level we're vaccinating above. And so we want to see what protection will be available for them as well.
Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama continues to remind Fijians that vaccination is key to normalcy.
Our goal is to fully vaccinate at least 80% of adults in Fiji by the end of October. Then and only then, we will plan a proper victory celebration for our rugby heroes and for the rest of our Olympians. So please, let's keep at our life-saving work of protecting Fijians through vaccines.
There is no set date on when sporting competitions will resume, as Fiji Sports Commission is yet to get a response from the ministry. Venina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
Generally, fine weather prevailed over most parts again today. In the west, nice with partial sunshine. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, pleasant with a blend of sun and clouds. Looking at the north, a mixture of sun and clouds also. At sea, moderate southeasterlies, fresh to at times, moderate to rough seas. Turning to the tide, the next low tide is at 11:43 tonight, with a low tide at 6:20 tomorrow morning. Sunrise will be at 6:33. For tomorrow, cloudy periods with brief showers over the interior of the larger islands. Elsewhere, mainly fine. Looking further ahead to Tuesday, expect much of the similar fine conditions. Recapping our main stories, Lao villagers change mindset about vaccine, no severe illness among fully vaccinated, and do not let your guard down, Reo villagers told. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. To our poll question this week, we're asking, should there be an Olympic 7 celebration once Fiji is clear of COVID-19? Visit our website to take part. Send us newsworthy pictures and videos via email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our various social media accounts. You can also download our FBC app to keep updated with the very latest news and sports, and also listen to our 6 radio stations live. That's your news for tonight. You have a good evening. Madamanda.